Welcome into the Real Kings podcast, where we invite you to the back rooms where you might get lost in the sauce and come out as something entirely different or not make it out at all. Anyway, I am Doc Rock. I got hosting abilities. I'm here 2 weeks straight. How about that, James? What you got to say now? I'm here 2 weeks straight. I was wilding out last episode. I went back.
He sounded like a disc jockey.
Hey, I went back and listened to that last episode, Jay. I was wild. I went full raw. I want to apologize to the listeners.
To V103, where you can listen to the Beach Boys.
Yeah. Welcome back to V103, where you get nothing but the negative hits.
Right.
As you can hear, I do have my band's Lav and James in the room with me. Dane is out now. He had to go pay homage to Jermaine this weekend and kiss the ring, from what I hear. We'll get some feedback from Jermaine, I'm sure, on how things are going, how well we are holding up our end of all of these breakdowns and reviews, and why Jermaine still feels the current DC universe is so much better than the Snyderverse. I'm waiting to hear that.
He catching a lecture from Dr. Umar, too.
Gotta be.
Yeah, him and they probably going over our guy, what's this name? David Johansen?
Right.
As soon as my guy got Black Panther, man, he was in the streets.
They had to have a conference.
Having a snowball fight.
James tried to make him so British. It's David Johnson is actually how you say his name. Who is our new Black Panther? We will get into some other casting rumors a little bit later, but for time's sakes, let's just get right into it, man. This is what y'all came for. This is what y'all waiting to hear. Y'all want to know how Doc Rock felt about the new Spider-Man, don't y'all? I know y'all want to hear, but first I'm going to kick it to James. James, give us the rundown. What's been happening since we last checked in with Petey, what we need to know. And this is a complete spoiler review, so if you haven't seen it, press pause, go back, watch it, and come back and press play.
I think people are pretty up on Spider-Man. It's one of the few MCUs that people seem to continue to follow the timeline, unlike some of the stuff that didn't hit, especially the TV shows and everything. But this picks up pretty much where it left off, where Peter was erased from everybody's memory via Doctor Strange's spell. So it's basically Peter coping with not having MJ anymore and not having Ned in his life, and it kind of just picks up there. So we get a very, especially early on, and you know it's right up my alley, a very street-level Spider-Man where he's going through his rogues gallery. He's battling Tarantula and a Ramrod and Scorpion. You know, some of these guys that Tombstone, some of these guys that are not big, like, what she say? These are small potatoes, not big potato.
Right.
So we see that a lot. But before we get directly into Spider-Man, I'm curious how y'all movie experience was, because I almost feel like, I know we've been talking about whether theaters need to do something to get back, but it seems like people are recovering, at least this summer, from COVID. Between Odyssey and Obsession and Spider-Man, these last couple of movies I've been in have been pretty packed, pretty well attended. People are dressing up again. Like, do y'all have that vibe in the theaters that y'all are into?
James, I'm so happy you asked the question. So, yes, I saw the film twice.
Okay.
And part of the reason for that was Marvel supposedly, as Nolan did with his IMAX 70 millimeter, this was the first film that was specifically shot and intended for Screen X.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be hard to describe Screen X, maybe, if I get too complicated in the woods. But
not
essentially, yeah. Oh, so you're familiar with it then?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so essentially, if you're looking at a full screen, and you just crack the screen into thirds and fold the two sides, that's essentially what Screen X does. It just
so you get stuff in your peripheral that kind of makes you feel like you're immersed in it. I think it's
right,
like
a little bit.
Big Viewmaster, like
a little bit. But see, where I get a little disappointed with Screen X is my perception of what I thought would occur was just something opposite. That instead of folding the image, it would literally be something going on in this left screen that connects in a way, but doesn't necessarily have to, right? Like if I could exclusively look at to the left-hand wall, I would see something going on there that if you didn't look, you would have no idea what's going on. On the same with the right and the same dead center. But it doesn't. It's just folding the image. So if whatever's on the outer edges that you're really not that attentive to anyway, that's just what's laying on both sides. So I went to see it in Screen X first because I wanted to feel that experience because it was supposed to be so exclusive to this film. And not only was this thing packed from front to back row, people were clapping, people were cheering, people were, let down at certain parts of the film, which we'll get into as we discuss it. You know, like they were like really hooraying and cheering at one particular part in the film. We'll talk about again. And I was like, man, these people are really engaged. And like, they were in Spider-Man costumes. They were in Spider-Man t-shirts. They were buying Spider-Man buckets, spending $50 and $60 for this crazy merch and everything else. And I had not seen or witnessed that level of engagement for a film in like forever, right?
You know, we heard Sony was considering selling it outright. Like they just getting frustrated with the point they couldn't do anything with Venom. And it was almost like, we can't do nothing with these characters. Like we might as well just sell it. I just doubt they will now. Like Spider-Man he's diamond proof, man. Like he makes the most money out of
what
all
I noticed
characters.
too, just from people talking in the crowd and the oohs and ahs and stuff too, it wasn't like the people that are high level like us and Voss and like all the nerds. It was clearly
I had
people
some nerds in my joint.
I did, but there was a
punch him in the throat.
There was definitely a mix of people that like they had to explain like, oh, this is going to be Jean Grey. It was like, you know, it was stuff that I take for granted. Like,
in the
of course
film,
you know that stuff.
They had to explain
in the
it?
audience, like it was
you heard people doing that?
Yeah, like where the other like the geeks have been there. Like for these other Marvel movies and stuff, I've seen those people that are like, you know, again, us, the P1s that are going to go out and see it. But it seemed like there was a lot more casual folks in there.
But I mean, it's Spider-Man. I mean, that should be expected. Like, you should always expect any and everybody to be in a Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, but
I think
I ain't get that for Superman. I ain't get that. Like, again,
that's what I'm saying.
Right.
I think Spider-Man, regardless of like how we look at Superman, I think Spider-Man is literally like A1 tier 1
and
character that everybody loves from the age of like 2 to 60. Like little kids be Spider-Man when they born.
Right.
You know, like he just. I don't think Superman got that cachet no more.
Not no more.
No, I'm just saying, like, and I don't know if it's different. I just feel like this summer's been different. Like, even when I was seeing stuff like Project Hail Mary and the Odyssey and all that, like, it seemed like...
I'm not disagreeing with your point. I'm just saying Spider-Man, to me, has always been universally loved by casuals and the nerds, right?
Yeah.
But I think the getting back to your point, my theater was the same way in terms of just being packed out. And I think the bigger point is not Spider-Man. I don't think Spider-Man is a judge. I think what you said is the judge, that these 4 great movies of this summer have all done super well and been having audiences show up.
Except Supergirl.
And I don't think all of them are necessarily like the big tentpole films like Spider-Man. I think they're just movies that have either been marketed well or have some sort of like some buzz about them that gets people to come out. And no one's hesitating. I think when we were in COVID, a couple years after, it was almost like, I want to see it, but it ain't worth it.
Right.
Now it's like people just automatically getting back to like, it just feels like it used to feel. Like no one's hesitating. People buying tickets, showing up, packed out theater, and it's just like...
And it's a point, and I'm curious when Dane gets back, because I want to ask him, because we debated like offline just talking about Marvel has pretty much said during Comic-Con that they're going to do like a less is more approach, where they're going to focus on these big tentpole movies and try to make them an event instead of putting out, 5 or 6 movies. They're going to try to do 1 to 2, which I think, at least based on this, might be a good idea, because it seemed like the CGI, the quality, a lot of the stuff that kind of started falling to the wayside. Again, it's Spider-Man, so, we'll see how it's going to look for Doomsday and everything else. But I think focusing on making their particular movies an event and making the movies quality, I think is going to pay dividends as opposed to like
they probably been,
market.
I know we all heard about ESPN, so I think they probably are like firing a lot of people to just make their sort of like their base of the creators a lot smaller so that they can do that. I don't think it's a bad idea either. I do just worry if one of those 2 films is like Ghost Rider, like it ain't, and it don't hit. I don't think that's going to get you $1 billion. You know what I'm saying? So now you kind of limiting yourself if you pick projects that aren't like an automatic hit.
I would hope that if like the Ghost Rider would be one of the times that they do like 3 movies. You know what I mean? Like they'll sprinkle that one in there, knowing that it's going to probably do well if it's good. But it's not going to be Spider-Man.
Somebody did a big think piece on that though, just saying that the director and Ryan Gosling, I think that he's predicting that this is going to be a miscalculation on their part. He thinks that Ryan Gosling's latest movie's just killing. They think he's in that Tom Cruise tier and he's going to carry this film. But he was like, the director has not shown he's good enough to carry a film like that.
Yeah.
And apparently, I think he did Starfighter too, and that hasn't come out yet. So they're like, I think he's like, they thinking they going to really kill it with this.
Yeah.
He thinks
because I did notice, I like, regardless of what you say, the director of this, was it Daniel David Creston? It did a really like, I liked Shang-Chi, I liked Wonder Man, and I like this. So the director really does matter. But I know Jonathan's going to say, who's the writer? So hopefully they have a good writer on Ghost Rider too, because it's one of those properties that can either be really good or really corny and over the top. So, I hope they don't go full Nick Cage with it again. So let's get into Spider-Man. I just kind of wanted to throw that out there because this felt like an older Marvel experience, probably that I haven't really gotten in a long time. And then there were surprises, even for us. Like I was like, oh, okay, this is this person or that person, or here's an Easter egg. So
I was shocked that. So I usually, a movie like this, I would have wanted to go see Thursday night. I couldn't find tickets Thursday night.
It's hard, man. I bought mine early and got lucky.
Specifically for Screen X, because there are fewer seats for the theaters that I have access to. But I looked all across town and couldn't find a single Screen X that wasn't already sold out Thursday. Friday, and I actually intended to go see it with the family, but I couldn't find enough seats together this entire weekend. So I ended up having to take my son, and just he and I went on Friday, which is why we saw it twice, because I want to be able to talk about the Screen X experience, to be able to get that feedback just in case it really did change something substantially for me.
What's the price difference, just generally?
I don't know, probably if I had to guess, probably not. It's not tremendous, maybe $5 difference, because the second day, Saturday morning, we went to watch it. We saw it on Regal's RPX, which is like their larger screen anyway. So that's already at a premium as well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's
doctors be rich. Go get your PhD, kids.
It's comparable to like IMAX and stuff, though. Like the price point be kind of the same.
It's about the same. But we snuck our own candy in, so that's how you cut the cost. It's always
all right, Rob.
Get your wife, get the big
Did y'all make like friends with the homeless people out front too? Come on in, brother. Sit next to us.
But that thing was filled out both day. I mean, all weekend. It was like tremendously difficult to find tickets. And I say all that to say the buzz around however people felt about it, I assume hadn't really hit. You know what I mean? Like we'll just be hearing about it today, the numbers and stuff that it's already doing. And so I don't think word of mouth, because these tickets were bought in advance. This wasn't a word of mouth thing. Oh, I got to go see it now.
Spider-Man, no.
This is already sold out.
Yeah, I mean.
And I think Marvel played it real well too, like coming off of Comic-Con, like it seemed like there was a lot of build up, a lot of hype. They got the Doomsday stuff going. Like all of it kind of seemed to work, where, you sometimes
also
it seems like they missed.
I don't think it should be looked over. You got Punisher and Hulk in there.
Right.
You got Zendaya and her power.
I was going to say, people love Tom Holland and Zendaya, and they both were just in Odyssey, and they both have been in the relationship. People love all of the stuff that surrounds it. So
it's interesting because, Barenthal was in it too. So for them to shoot these movies together so close and then just be friends or whatever. I didn't know that Barenthal shot or recorded Tom Holland's audition.
Oh, for the original audition to play the role of Spider-Man.
And then Tom Holland helped him with the Punisher. And Barenthal's the one that suggested he did like his little flip because he, studied dance and acrobatics and stuff. And they said that was the one thing that like edged him out because they knew it was going to be a physical role and having Spider-Man
I remember that
do
being a
stuff.
thing for me that made me feel like I wanted Shorty to get it. It was him.
And props to Tom Holland, because you see so often with these actors that have these like iconic characters where they get to the point where they're like, I'm too good to be Spider-Man. Like he jumps in and embraces it. Like he don't do like the Harrison Ford where, you know, he kind of like downplays Han Solo or Indiana and is like, this is a stupid role and like is curmudgeon-y about it. Tom Holland is like, seems genuinely excited to be doing these roles, man. So
I think he kind of started as an actor instead of a thespian. So I think he's more like, this is a dream.
Right.
And
he's a fan.
I'm sure that check ain't. I'm sure that check nice, man.
But
because he had finished his first contract and he re-upped, so I'm sure
he getting paid.
Yeah, I'm sure he got.
But even when people are getting paid, sometimes they
you right. Yeah,
try to branch out and do stuff and downplay, like distance themselves from the role. Like I don't want to be typecast. Like
Christian Bale
doing other stuff, but he like, nah, man, this is where my bread is buttered. I'm gonna get as much money out of this and have fun doing it while I can. And you gotta think.
And then Christian Bale go and do. What's his name? Gore the God Butcher.
Right.
It's like, you all acting like you above this and then go do that trash.
Right.
But I guess he must have connected with the character.
Right.
Something like
connected with that bank account.
Right. Talking about, I ain't going to do Batman if Christopher Nolan ain't involved. And it's like, then you go do that.
I'm kind of curious to hear your first thoughts on it, man. We were talking about the theater experience, but I guess we can get into the movie, and I don't want to, talk
just a couple personal things. Like the reason I say I want to punch some of these nerds in the throat is because y'all nerds don't have to laugh at the corniest stuff. Like they just be laughing, and then you got a nerd laugh, and it's just annoying. So this guy behind us was doing that through the whole movie. Anything that was remotely comic booky, he in this little nerd laugh all loud.
So, Jackson, did you tell James to be quiet, please? Come
on, man. Don't judge us nerds.
Then I got to be my wife's conscience, because you talk about sneaking candy. And my wife, the type that will try to sneak in
hamburgers and
butter chicken, stuff that
stink, smelling the whole
stuff
theater,
that stink. She don't care. She be like, Love, I got my big purse. I'll be like, babe,
the fried fish.
Nah, man, just eat it in the car. Anyway, theater experience was good. Felt like the old big movies that got released, full of people in there. But overall, man, I'll just say, I'll start with this before we get into the details. This is one of the most well done comic book movies, like, as it relates to the character and like what you did get from the comic books from this character. And largely why I say that is because when you watch the cartoons, they usually don't have limitations on how often you see the character in their suit, how often they get into like action sequences. This movie felt like there wasn't limited action. He stayed in the suit for meetings. Like,
right.
He wasn't just, let's make him Peter Parker and let's put him in the suit 3 times. Comic book movies will tend to do that. Like they almost got a budget. They can't put him in the suit and do action but 3 times and stuff like that. And then it just was so true to who Spider-Man is without, making him too over the top. So I just really loved it. I love the problems that he had to encounter and deal with. I love the connection to the previous storylines. I really like the performances too by the actors. I think everybody did a great job. And then I think I really liked the balance of telling us the story about the conflicts he's dealing with, but also the amount of action. And I think that's a hard balance that a lot of movies don't get right. Overall, I loved it. I don't know that I necessarily can rate it in terms of where it would rank with all Spider-Man movies, but I'm not really there yet. But just initially, like, I loved it a lot.
Yeah. And Jonathan, I don't know if you want to go or should we wait? Because are you going to go full critical drinker on this? Hey, should I continue some of the positive vibes?
So I'll tell you this. What was interesting is if we had recorded this after my first watch, you probably wouldn't. But after my second watch, the experience changed for me entirely. I don't know what that is. I mean, it's like anything else, right? I've talked about this here. And so, again, to not be a hypocrite, it's like you finish a new album, and somebody asks you what you thought about that album. You're like, well, I don't know. I only listened to it in the gym. I ain't
definitely has
listened to it in
in
the car yet. I ain't listened to it on the road trip yet. I ain't listened to it at night when I'm just locked in with the headphones and listening to the lyrics. I haven't experienced it in different moods and times of the day to kind of really give the album the time to breathe. And that's sort of what happened between the 2 days in my experience of being able to watch it twice. It came to life now. Like I could settle my thoughts a little bit more because I already knew what to expect from the film. And then I think I actually watched it relaxed more on the second go around than I did the first. The first I was, I'm constantly thinking, so I'm probably trying to process things in real time rather than just enjoying the film. And so I got that experience on the second go around with this. And like Loft, I mean, I came out of it feeling really good. I'm like, oh, I actually really did enjoy this film a whole lot. Without getting negative again, there are some things I could pick at, but I think from a studio perspective, like Marvel's and Sony's deals and putting these additional characters in and what purpose they really serve, and do they evolve the film in a way that that makes sense? Do they help the film to move along? Do they really serve a long-term purpose, or are they just thrown in? Some of those things I think I'll be a little critical as we talk about, but beyond that, I'm sitting there, as Law said, he's not ready to say where it falls. I'm almost ready to make the argument that this might be one of the best Spider-Man films of all the 9 or whatever films that they've made so far. I'm talking top 2 or 3 at worst. I just don't know exactly where it falls yet. I mean, I really do think they did a really good job with this film overall. And I do value and appreciate what they did with the antagonist, if you will, that I can't really say, are they a villain? Are they not? It was it was strange. It was different.
She did some diabolical stuff. She killed people,
she
assaulted people. There was like some
people. Yeah.
Remember, y'all didn't watch. Did y'all watch season? Y'all probably watched only season 1. But remember Jessica Jones and Purple Man, how they were like, it's a violation because he's taking control of my body and made me do this. Like she was straight doing some low level sexual assault where she's just like, I'm gonna make out with Peter and be in Zendaya's body. I'm gonna make
that was
this
the
person.
least of the things that she'd done.
And then she's killing people, attempted murder. That dude that got murked with the cab, I felt bad for dude, man.
It wasn't just him. It wasn't just him. If you all paid attention to it, seeing it twice helped with these things as well. There's the part where Peter is still at Frank's boathouse, if you will, and he got a hit on Jean's face. It was Jean. I got to eat crow. And as Jean is walking into this DODC now for the 5th or 6th time or whatever it is, her attack, right before Banner. This is right before Banner, right? There are 2 guards sitting out front. She makes them turn and shoot each other.
But
I've
they
seen it
didn't
twice
die.
now. Well, I mean, okay.
They
That's
should have,
convenient. We'll know.
But I think they did stuff like that to give us the feeling of death.
Right.
Like even the car, the cab. It's like you feeling, and what realistically should happen is they should die, but then they give you an out to keep it PG-13. I literally heard they did that on purpose. Because I think them guards said the next shot is going to be to the head. I think
not the same. No.
That's a different.
That's a different scene. You're talking about when she actually walked into the vault.
Yeah.
When Metzler's there, and she tells them, because that's when she has Bernthal under her control. I'm not talking about them 2 guards.
Oh, okay.
There were 2 guards that Peter is looking at on screen before he leaves Bernthal's boathouse. And you see Jean, and they turn, they have automatic rifles, and they turn and they both pluck each other and fall over, and they appear dead. That's something
they
Peter's
did the same thing
screen.
in the second scene.
They
then
did the
they
same
said
thing,
that.
and she said to them, if not.
So it's their armor. Their armor can catch those bullets.
No, but they got shot in the leg. They got shot in the leg. But those 2 guys you're referring to got shot in the leg by the Punisher, by Frank Castle.
Yeah.
These 2 guys didn't shoot each other in the leg. They shot each other in the body.
In the armor.
Okay, fair enough.
I choose to believe that they all died, but I like how they gave us that out.
We'll digress into that a little bit as we go through the film. But but all in all, man, I enjoyed this one a lot, man. So
did y'all play the Spider-Man games on PlayStation?
Insomniac joints? Yeah, I did.
Yeah, man. There's so much of this movie that felt like the games. Like I was like, this had to be intentional that they want to create
Sony
this.
owns all that stuff too. So like the crime tracker,
synergy.
Yep.
So it was just really cool in a way that someone that played the game was like, yo, this is so much stuff from the game.
And that's
even
a good
the
point.
tank scene is right out of the game. Like,
that's a good point to bring up when not only you talk about Spider-Man, not only you talk about Marvel, but there's a whole audience that probably just played the games and got it from that and came because they became a fan or watched the movies because they played the games or vice versa. So,
but they probably making billions off that game.
Yeah.
So it's like, man, it's again, Spider-Man is his own money making machine. So I think it's also smart to keep that synergy with those products and crossing it over that way, because they're gonna probably have another one at some point, and it just keeps people locked in on whatever Spider-Man's selling.
Speaking of the tracker,
I do want to say, hold up, I do want to say, you all, had this conversation. We talked about it last week with the Odyssey, with the practical effects. There was conversation going around the fact that John Watts said whoever takes over this series shouldn't even bother with practical effects because it looks cheesy. You should just, do the VFX stuff for Spider-Man. And Creighton said, to hell with that. I'm using practical effects. So that whole scene where Spider-Man is going down the street on the chasing after the tank, that's a man on wires. And so visually, unlike again, to the point of the conversation we were having about whether we were concerned if Marvel was going too deep into the blue screen box studio lot, shoots, this clearly got away from that. And I thought it looked fine, right? Again, I wasn't that attentive to it, but it didn't bother me in the same way that Ant-Man, as my reference point, did.
Yeah. And I hope that Spider-Man isn't an anomaly in that, because we talked about some of the complication that they had with Doomsday and trying to keep stuff secret and actors not being at the same location and stuff. I hope they keep that same energy, because Spider-Man is always like, they've tried to film on site. Like there's always like at least a couple scenes where they're in New York at some point. So hopefully that's not just a Spider-Man thing. Hopefully it becomes like an overall Marvel where they start getting a little more on location. We were talking about the Spider Tracker. And then his AI. Did y'all realize that was Naomi Watts' voice?
Nah, I found out after the fact.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting, man. It seemed like people really like Tom Holland because apparently she was in his first ever movie when he was like a child actor. And it was kind of when he made his big break. So it seemed like a lot of people be paying it forward to, him later on. And he does the same thing. Like, it's kind of cool. He seemed like an actual decent dude. I'm the same point with y'all. Again, Spider-Man, one of my favorite. I like, Batman, Spider-Man, Daredevil, street level guys. And this was probably the most street level Spider-Man. And I like young Peter Parker, but I've always been partial more to not necessarily
Mature
like
Peter.
Adult when he has kids, but like I like the college middle, like where he's dealing with some of these problems. Like he's, at
I felt
ESU.
I felt like these early Tom Hollands was a departure from what we got used. We really grew up with. Like
because
Peter
of the cartoon.
Peter was always like kind of the college mature, dealing with living with my girl type Spider-Man.
So
I got
this
a
was
job
cool
every day.
that. Like, and again, one of the best things about Spider-Man is him kind of like trying to deal with being Spider-Man and being Peter Parker. Like, there's always something going on, whether it's Gwen Stacy getting threatened or MJ getting threatened or Aunt May. There's always something where he kind of has to come to terms between being the guy behind the mask and the person in the mask themselves. So I think they did probably the best job that I've seen kind of juggling that and making me care. Again, they did a very good job with the acting. They, included enough in this to where it was street level, but it also gave you enough where it set up some of the mutant stuff with Jean Grey and like the inhibitor chip that he did. It gave us Savage Hulk. Punisher didn't feel like, it felt like a cameo, but it didn't feel like shoehorned in. Like they had a really good chemistry and I actually enjoyed it. And that's one of the things I was kind of concerned about because we've seen Punisher and Spider-Man and they blend together, whether it's the comics or the cartoon. But doing it on the big screen with Barenthal's version and some of the like ultra rated R stuff, like they did a good job. He cursed a lot, but I thought that kind of lent to the character. It felt authentic.
I didn't even notice it, and that's the thing that usually makes me squeamish with my son.
I'm surprised.
I don't play like curse word. I find
but
clean
you know what
verses of rap albums.
He said the
and stuff,
S word probably like 4 times. Like,
but see, then it was natural and authentic to his character.
Exactly.
It didn't feel forced, and I think that is the difference. Usually, Marvel are forcing curse words unnecessarily,
right? With
because
characters
they think it's
that
funny,
wouldn't necessarily do that,
right? And it's like, why do we need that? Whereas with Frank Castle's, like, this comes with who he is. So whenever he cursed, it must have been like genuinely fitting for that moment, right? If I get out the bed in the middle of the night and stump my toe and curse, my son gonna hear it, right? It's not like I'm censored to that degree. It's just that I don't need gratuitous cursing for the sake of it, and that I didn't even notice it. Like, because the one time he tried to drop the F-bomb, Spidey threw the the web over his mouth, and so I was like, okay, cool.
I found it a little refreshing that they did a good job with Punisher too, because I was real concerned with how you sort of like, just kind of like clean him up for a movie like this. But it, also just felt like a friendship or a relationship that was sort of reluctant, because they have two different approaches to how they do their work.
Right.
But it didn't feel too bad. You know what I mean? So I was relieved that they didn't, because I'm always concerned when they do stuff like that, you run the risk of ruining the darker character.
You know what's funny is this relationship felt more organic, because him and Daredevil have the same type of relationship where Daredevil's more like, hey, a criminal justice system, do the right thing. This felt more organic, where in the TV Daredevil show, Frank and Matt Murdock.
But I'm so glad they did the short film for Punisher, because it really made this feel like it really bridged where you're left with him and Daredevil.
Yep.
To where he could be this type of Punisher in this movie.
I think that must have been smoke and mirrors, because they tried to make it sound like that wasn't the case, but it clearly was the case.
Yeah. They didn't try to make it sound like it, and I still don't necessarily agree. That's the one flaw with this that I had issue with, which was if Frank Castle was just wilding out, why are there no police looking for him? If he's under Wilson Fisk law, and I know Fisk leaves at the end of the second season of Daredevil, of the newer Daredevil, but tell us that stuff has gone away, that we're winding back the mandate to lock up vigilantes, right? Like, and he still kill a lot of people. He got cops after him and stuff like that. Why is he just driving around?
But I think that's why I feel like it does.
Right. That's what I
feel better this way, because it's almost like Kingpin got exposed. He gets sort of deposed as mayor and has to be sent off to some island or whatever.
And there was even like a Fisk poster that popped up at one point in the thing where you saw like the anti-Fisk propaganda in Spider-Man. So I think
they do kind of leave the timeline a little unclear, because they make it seem like time is passing while they're in college, almost to the point where they graduate.
It seemed like that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, so it's like, but I don't know how that jives with Daredevil is what I'm saying. Because they make this movie seem like you're watching Peter go through his loneliness over years, but he's fighting crime and lonely. But like, where does that leave and jive like a lineup with what was happening in Daredevil? So to me, for them to make it seem like that happens after Spider-Man don't jive. Like, it seems like
I think that was a red herring.
Yeah, Daredevil sort of wrapping up as it is. Maybe some obscure time passes, and this is where Punisher is in his life. Like, he's, doing his crime fighting thing, but he's more of a polished vigilante that really ain't all about killing no more.
Yeah, and I think that's why it lines up, because in the Punisher little mini movie, like, it showed that Frank was broken and dealing with his stuff and having mental health issues and everything else. And this picks up after that, where it's kind of cleaned up. And even in Daredevil, it mentions Spider-Man. He's, Frank, Wilson Fisk goes off about like, oh, these, vigilantes out here, a guy that's dressed like a spider and blah, blah, blah. So it, I think
I don't want to digress too much on Frank's character, because I know we got so many more points to hit, but polished would not be the word I would use. He was saying a few times, I'm going to do it my way. Don't talk to me about this saving BS stuff.
He's in a
to the
much
point
better
where he
place
put a slug in
in
Spider-Man's back. He was trying to kill Jean Grey at the end of the
he's
film.
Still the Punisher.
He wouldn't be the Punisher if he wasn't that, though.
Yeah, he's still the Punisher, but he really seemed like in that movie, he was going through some stuff that was even past like the Punisher psychosis that he tends to have. This seems more like he was dialed in a weapon with a purpose. You know, like I'm a kill people to achieve my goal, and I don't mind doing that, but I'm not talking to ghosts in the corner.
Right. I'm gonna let little girls stay in my house to keep them safe. Like I'm not, like I feel like that's a far departure from where he was.
Which is why I don't agree with what we saw in that one-off Punisher film fit between the last Daredevil and the Spider-Man movie. That's why I do agree that had to occur much earlier in between the two Daredevil films, which is where they placed it initially. That would make more sense to me because he was still wilding at the beginning of the second Daredevil before he got captured or whatever the hell he went in a hole and told Frank Murdoch he didn't want to have anything to do with him when he was in hideout.
Oh,
that
maybe I misunderstood. I thought that the timeline they was trying to present to us was that it happened after Spider-Man Brand New Day.
Yeah, and I'm and even with Jonathan, like, and I guess it just depends on your perspective.
Between the two Daredevils, it ain't my perspective. Is what they gave to us. Is what they said.
I'm saying your, as in your perspective, not Jonathan's perspective specifically. Mm-hmm. I'm saying it just depends on your perspective because he was crazy at the beginning of Daredevil and in the movie. So I guess you could place them at either point, but either way, he cleared up his psychosis. I think he was worse off in the movie, and I think he came to a resolution in the movie. It didn't seem like he was better in Daredevil. Like it seemed like he was still at the beginning phases. Yeah,
the movie seemed like the apex of him being at his worst.
Right,
and then he got better at the end of that movie, where Daredevil's second season, I guess, feels like
the beginning.
He doesn't have resolve. Like he seemed like he's still tripping.
Right. I don't know that he would have gotten resolved. That's my point. Like I don't necessarily agree. I think he just had a mental snap and then he just had a cathartic moment. I don't know that he was healed per se, and they never showed us anything to indicate such. We just assumed
that movie definitely felt like with the homeless man that there was some resolve about how to go about being Punisher differently.
Oh, you're saying at the very end? At the very end of the film. I guess.
And that aligns with Spider-Man Brand New Day to me. Right. Like as if
it aligns with how he's moving about, but to me it don't align with, and that's my issue. There was no bridge. We're making one to make it fit for our purposes, but they don't tell us in Spider-Man, what has he been doing? Why is all of a sudden now he's just roaming around the street, apparently.
But that's why it feels right to me to just accept that the movie helps create a space for Frank, because I could see that version of Frank also being somebody the city of New York can appreciate.
Right. Because
he did. You're not killing just indiscriminately. Now you're actually doing stuff and you probably just aren't getting caught. You know what I mean? To go to jail, but you're doing stuff that really is meaningful to the people. Yeah, he literally was in the movie in the middle of a riot.
I'm not disputing that. I'm saying,
and even in the movie, it didn't feel like they were still under Fisk's law. You know what I mean?
No, not at all. That's supposed to be clear that Fisk is over. I agree with where Spider-Man Brand New Day falls. I don't agree with how.
No, I meant Punisher's movie. Like, he was walking around wherever he was supposed to be, Little Italy and all that
his
stuff.
His own movie. Yeah, he was just walking around on the street in the middle of the day,
and stuff weren't after him. It seemed like the Daredevil portion had concluded, and it had moved forward.
What I'm saying is, I feel like y'all trying to make it work to have an explanation for why.
I think you're trying to make it not work.
I know it don't work for me because you didn't give me the explanation. You can't. The directors, the writers of this can't give me one explanation and then we say, but nah, this one seems to fit better for this film, so let's just go with it.
So what superheroes are abiding by the law to the degree that they shouldn't have anybody after them? Like, I guess what I'm asking is, what's so dramatically different between Punisher doing good as a vigilante versus somebody like Yelena, who clearly is walking around too?
Or Daredevil.
Well, Daredevil got a disguise, but
I'll tell you. So in this film, I can't think of her name. Our girl from The Bear, she plays a detective.
DeWalt.
Yeah, DeWalt. That's working with Spider-Man. The one time Spider-Man goes too far and slams Scorpion into a police car, almost injures a cop.
Yeah.
she's like, bro, you got to relax and get it together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
the Punisher's running around with a grenade launcher and shooting it in the middle of New York City. Come on, guys. Stop. Don't do this.
That's true.
He out of pocket. Like, he way above the law. He has
But Hulk has done far worse, and he's teaching at Empire State University. So that's what I'm saying.
If
that's what I'm
get
saying.
Mad enough, hold up, small potato, big potato. Away. What you gonna do? They could put him inside the raft, but he gonna get out.
But what I'm saying is you can justify however you want, but you want everybody to be after Punisher, but you excuse it from the other heroes. So what I'm saying is I think this is a universe where we just have to understand, you saved the whole earth. So we're gonna let you teach and be a professor. Like you said, we don't want to get you mad because we know what happened when you get angry.
But you can lock Frank up, though. Frank ain't getting out the raft.
Frank been locked up. And they let him out.
Not in the raft. They need to lock his ass back up.
That's a good segue probably to the Hulk, because they did end up locking Bruce down after, he went savage.
He went to the psych ward, he said.
Yeah, in the psych ward. But they still, get him taken care of, man. This, again, I'm trying to think when the last time we have really seen, like, Banner not want to turn into the Hulk and go through the transformation. You know how we talk about werewolves and everything else? Like, this was like the best Hulk that I have seen in a long time. Yes. Like, he did the thunderclap, he did the foot stomp, the part where Peter was like, I don't remember you being that big. I was like,
I needed that, bro.
I needed that, Hulk. I needed Creighton redeemed Hulk.
He did. He seemed like he might actually be a fan of comic books.
He said it.
Okay.
No, he's a fan of the Hulk as well. Yes.
Of Hulk, okay, specifically.
Yes. Yeah, I kind of like...
You can see the love he had, man. Like,
but I also like the explanation. Because I think for fans, we just been sort of caught up in this, like, Professor Hulk, like, saga for a while. Mm-hmm. So we didn't really necessarily know why or what Marvel is trying to do through him. So for them to just express, Savage Hulk is really dormant, and Professor Hulk is not a professor version of the Hulk. He's a totally different Hulk altogether.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the comics can kind of do that, but I just wasn't sure what Marvel was trying to do with him. So for them to, I guess you can give credit to the
what
director.
The Russo brothers was trying to do to him.
So what the director did in this
probably
movie,
Ruffalo,
and bringing Savage Hulk back, reestablishing his stature, reestablishing like how he gets down. It just felt good, man. It was cathartic.
Mm-hmm.
For somebody that's like,
and they did a good job of taking 4 characters that we like in that action scene and like
not
Punisher
making them
was
tight
useless.
too. Like,
as Spider-Man dragged him under the Hulk, he's still like trying to shoot and get his
but the fact that he was
why he got a grunt even when he was in the hospital. Like, stop grunting, man.
But just the way Punisher is shooting him like dead aim in the face.
Yep.
Yeah.
It kind of again makes you say, okay, that's how nice Punisher is. But he's fighting another superhero, and Hulk is effing him up.
Yep.
Like that also is what's supposed to happen. Right. Hulk ain't supposed to be the best fighter. He ain't supposed to be the smartest. But you're not supposed to have your way with him like we've been seeing for the last few years.
Exactly. Right. And he hit Spider-Man with the Loki joint.
Exactly.
But I liked how Spider-Man was able to end up on his back because, again, unlike Loki, he's got... I actually, man, like, the directors and the writers in this did a really good job. I like how they didn't make Spider-Man weak either. Like, even when he's going through the scanners and stuff, like, they're ranking his power level at a level that I think Spider-Man should get. And some of that probably came with maturity. Some came with his mutation that we'll get into in this. But I like how Spider-Man actually, was more of an A-level, street-level guy. Like, he's above the Daredevils and stuff of the world. And I feel like sometimes that kind of got murky.
So you saying we'll get into it, which we already in, and we completely all over the place. So we gonna take this from the start.
You be like in order too much, man. Like you just gotta have a conversation.
I agree, and I like the conversation. I just don't want to miss things that we otherwise would have talked about. In the order kind of helps me track with it, but that's fine.
That Professor Brain.
All right, so let's talk about Helena then and her role in the film. She was the most pointless part of this film.
Yeah. And I think they're trying to link the universes together. But what I will say is
somebody else could have served that purpose better.
John, if I told you I need to have some level of connective tissue to Avengers, like we're going towards Doomsday, this is a great film, but it's completely detached from what we're seeing in the bigger space.
Yep.
How can you do that? Right. That's what this felt like to me.
Yeah,
that this was just a choice that they made.
And you couldn't really use Mackey's Falcon. You couldn't use Cap and all the other original. I mean,
we definitely could have used Mackie, in my opinion.
But we haven't seen him in so long. I feel like they're going to explain where he was
that you
and
don't,
what they're doing.
But I prefer that you don't. But
that's what I'm saying. So I think that they.
So I don't even know if it was her as much as the the way to use it for comic relief, the bad thing. That bugged me more than the fact that it was her.
Yeah.
Right. And it wasn't funny to me. Like when his feet came up, it was just like, well, why would he do that?
Valid.
Like,
That's valid. If you treated her like a real operative that kills people all the time and took a more covert tone of her having inside knowledge or systems that only Avengers and secret operatives have to give him some help, it doesn't change the movie. It actually probably is a better thing, but they decided to make it funny. And I don't think, I don't like that either.
And I get that for the listeners. I understand. I took my son twice. I know,
kids.
Right? It's for kids, right? I get it.
Yeah. And I'm going to say,
I prefer everything to be like Civil War and Winter Soldier. If I had my way, it would be at that tone and level.
Yeah.
But we're going to take our kids and we're going to see it too. Like, I don't think you're going to lose any eyes on screen because of the name, the tentpole. Like we talked about before word got out of how good this film is, the tickets were already sold. So
and when we was kids, we watched stuff like that, and they didn't make it kiddie.
But I will say that they did a good balance of not having too much of that, where Marvel had gotten way too goofy. So
yeah, they did.
At least this was limited to kind of some of those scenes, and it wasn't as bad. And I'm not gonna lie, the kids and the nerds, just like Lofts, like these are the scenes that they were laughing at. So,
but you got to think
somebody.
What is it? Is it Farkas and McNeely are the writers that generally work with the Russo brothers? Mm-hmm. One of the two of them is still there. The other one left. But they are the same people who wrote Winter Soldier and Civil War. And so we know that Endgame and Infinity War. So we know the tones of those films. They still put their jokes in them, but the tone is pretty consistent.
Which I'm good with for those movies, but Spider-Man never really was that.
No one aren't fussed about him. Everyone loved Endgame.
Yeah.
So my point being, if the tone is getting ready to shift, if this is the last film that we're getting ready to see before we get into Doomsday, then make the stakes feel more serious, right?
Or again, I think y'all just skipped over it. I really think it's subjective to the person. Like, I don't think my argument is Yelena shouldn't be that comedy relief. That's where I think
correct.
It goes wrong.
Right. I agree.
If it had been Ant-Man,
it would have made sense.
I think it would have been perfect. If you really needed to have that be funny, just let Ant-Man be there and do it.
I'm trying to think, but I guess maybe that's just a fumble that Marvel has had with the character and the actress, because she's a heck of an actress. They've made her kind of comic relief at times.
In Thunderbolt, she kind of does the dry humor all the time, and I'm like,
picked up from
y'all
that, and maybe they should have taken the more like she's a cold assassin kind of thing. At least they keep Black Widows fine though. They don't drop the ball there. They went from Scarlet to Yelena. Who's what's the actress's name?
Pugh.
Florence Pugh.
Yeah. But I think that was my issue with it. And again, to the tone, sense. I'm just saying that we're getting ready to shift into a tone that's going to be really dark. I want Elena as well to not take it so the small potato, big potato thing. Like this chick, I mean, she hadn't seen Jean Grey at her peak at that moment, but to kind of wipe it off and like kind of to be dismissive about taking over control of people's body and that small potato, like how is Yelena like not saying, hey, right now this small potato's for us, but we're keeping an eye on it, right? Like we take these things serious because we know how serious a telepath could be. And it just being so dismissive to me was a writing, like a mechanism basically to keep the rest of the Avengers away. It's their way of saying, we're not getting involved
which
in
is
this.
What we asked for, though. We do, to be honest, we do ask for that. We do ask for them to give us at least some notion of why everybody wouldn't jump in.
And you got to remember that as much as they want to be the real Avengers, like these new Avengers aren't really good. So that's the other thing that, Yelena is what she is, but she's not Captain America, you know what I mean? Or Iron Man, that are going to analyze these situations. They're kind of still just like pretending to be as good as the original Avengers.
Sure.
Yeah.
Small potatoes. What y'all think about the mutation part of it? Because I was nervous he was going to go full man spider and all that stuff, and like the fly and all that. So I'm glad they didn't do that in the comics.
That's what we talked about, and so I was really glad that they did it to the degree that they did, where his eyes got black, and that was about it. You just saw these other symptoms, but it wasn't nothing physical changing. Other than his web shooters,
which is convenient. I always again, man, it's a comic book movie, and it's Spider-Man. It has to be, but of course they came out exactly where he wanted them, like, and they were where he put his web shooters and everything.
Came out his butt,
like a real spider.
Yeah, not just that. So that to me served two purposes though. The transition. So it not only was it convenient, but it also stopped being inconvenient conveniently, right? Like you have no control over this, and then boom, I got it. I got it figured out. Yeah. Again, I'm just saying.
But you know what? I was even okay with that. But I had a John moment when the animatronic web shooters popped off, and Evie said, "You can't have both at the same time." As if it was like a block in the system or the programming.
Yeah.
That I didn't like.
Yeah. But I do think, I suspect if Dane were here, he would tell us that Spider-Man can't be on the sewn up Doom planet and not be able to refill this web shooter. Yeah. So it's going to have to be organic to nature now for him.
I'm glad that we got to see mechanical web shooters as a Spider-Man fan, but I hated it in the comics. It kind of was like the trope with Iron Man, where his suit always fails every comic. He would always run out of webbing, like, and they kind of use that as it. So I liked it. All right, man. Now he has his webbing. We don't have to worry about that plot hole.
I prefer it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that was one of the bigger things that I liked about this movie, was that it was almost like, all right, he's becoming an adult Peter now. So we're transitioning away from this kid into a mature adult Peter Parker. And even in that, we're going to level him up in a way that's sort of honest and true to the comic, but also to let people know, like, he's growing up in his power set too. And so, you know, I think we all can relate to, like, you want your favorite heroes to, like, get stronger. So that was a big part that I did not know was going to come out of this. I thought the mutation was going to be more like an issue, but not like almost like going through puberty. I don't know. I just thought that they had already established how strong he was. So I didn't think they were going to level him up. So once we got to that point, I was like, oh yeah, this is good.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
What about his relationship with your girl, with Zendaya, with MJ and what's his man's name? Ned?
Yeah.
Because there was a few storylines, right? That was one of them, a smaller one, but that was part of the storyline. And I wanted to talk to that specifically because when they had the kiss moment, literally my first crowd, they started cheering. Everybody's like, yeah!
That was perfect.
And then when she flipped it on them, they was like, oh, they were so hurt. I mean, my whole theater, I was like, this is nuts. I have not seen a response like this in a theater. And since Thanos did the snap, and literally people were in there crying. I'm like, God, what's wrong with y'all? But I thought that was a good flip in that moment. Like, I appreciated that and the value of it, because I thought it would cheapen the story if the spell was just broken by a kiss.
And I like how they were like, hey, dummy, you think it's just going to be broken by a kiss? How, you know, Jean was snarky and
that's
like,
what I was going to say. I thought it added some cleverness and craftiness to the villain, right? The villain needs to be respected. Like, I think those are the type of things that made, at least from the reaction of my audience, like, even more into like who this villain is, and like they're really powerful and kind of evil and sadistic.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a good way to add some of that to this character.
Yeah, and I liked it, man. Like, usually that's not my for Spider-Man, it's one of my favorite parts, but usually this is Dane's like thing about like the relationships and the emotional connections and stuff. But I think that they did it so well that it made sense. It was organic. He was on his own. He was lonely. It picked up from the last Spider-Man, so there was some continuity there. And I think that Zendaya, like, props to her, man. I know she gets a lot of fanfare, but a lot of it is justified. The moment when she went from pretending to be MJ to then being Jean, like, did y'all notice how she had like Sadie Sink's affect? And like she was talking like similar to like how Sadie Sink like presents. So I was like, that's pretty good, man.
Bernthal did a good job. So I mean, everybody, all those actors, kudos to all. I mean, even though split seconds.
Did y'all ever see Fallen? Remember that Denzel horror movie?
Yeah.
And I assume that Creston has seen this too, because the way that she hopped from person to person was definitely like.
So speaking of which, there was a lot of fan reaction to it, but when she used the young black man on the street as one of her muses or whatever you want to call it, there was this visceral reaction to like, hold up, are y'all trying to create a Miles that exists and give us sort of like a nod to him? And it wasn't just because he was a young black dude. He talked like Miles in the video game. I mean, in the Spider-Verse. I forgot the guy who does the actor that does the voice, but he had that same cadence. And so I think it was a lot stronger of a connection. And if I was casting or a director, I definitely would have probably went away from that if I didn't want to give you that.
Yeah,
but
I think
they did it anyway and was like, yeah, that's not him, which I was like, yeah, it's clearly not him, but why did y'all try to tease us like that? That's what it felt like.
That's just part of the fun. It would get people talking. It's like they had the girl with the rogue hair. Like just one of those Easter eggs where it's not rogue, but it's going to get people talking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they did the same.
What girl? About the girl on the bus?
On the bus, yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought she was thinking about the scrunchie from Sarah, her sister, because that's what I thought. And they told me, no, that's Jean Grey's, I guess, original uniform. Or whatever. Can we get into Jean Grey? Because we haven't talked about the villain, per se. So...
And we can't forget about Bill Metzger too, because Trey what's my guy's name? Tramell Tillman.
Yeah,
from
so
Severance. Who was still Seth Milcock or whatever. Miljack.
Yeah, he wasn't the villain to me, though. He was just a government guy doing what government people were doing. He was shady, you know what I'm saying?
But again, he was a shady government guy and clearly overreached in abuse. And I feel like it's going to spill into potentially like, again, back to the mutant stuff and Civil
we shouldn't
War
start
and
on
trying to control.
Because let's get back to Jean first. So Jean was the villain, like we talked about at the top, where, presumably she killed some people. She attacked the DOD. They say it 4 times off screen that we hadn't even seen.
And if she didn't kill people, it didn't seem purposeful. It seemed like, hey, I just got lucky. Like even when she threw Zendaya off, you assume Spider-Man might save her, but
she don't know that. But she can't be certain, right?
Right.
Same thing with the police officer earlier in the film. Same thing with the bomb that exploded in the tank that she ran in there. Like, did everybody get clear of the building?
Definitely was a problem.
Very convenient, right?
Very Punisher like funny that he's in this movie.
Yeah.
Well, I told y'all to follow that account on Instagram. The dude that just shows you all the superheroes killing people.
Dead. Let me stop it right there. Let me show y'all something. That person's dead.
That's funny. Man, I cried with the Winter Soldier joke when Bucky just kicked that dude into the turbine.
I'm telling you. So just from that alone, there's a lot of people dead in the MCU.
It is.
And we just don't see the blood, man.
But yeah, she so I think that was part of the reason. So I was wrong. I'm going to say it again, eat crow, and apologize. I wasn't convinced that there was any shadowy other character off screen because we didn't hear about it. So I'm like, nah, the character is whoever Sadie Sink is being and Tramell Tillman. Like these are got to be the villains. There is no other off screen person we haven't seen. I didn't believe that. But I didn't believe that Jean would be acting out of her own volition either, right? Right. I assumed something was mind controlling her to make her do the things she was doing, or whatever it would have been, or whatever this person was doing. Whoever it was, we were just misguided entirely. I think there was another character they said had similar abilities that people suspected, but again, the rumor, but basically said that's not possible because they wouldn't bring her back. One, that's not a big enough role, and 2, she wouldn't be in Secret War and Doom. Secret War is the one I know was confirmed. I don't know about Doomsday.
Yeah.
So Stephen Yeun was always rumored to be in this movie. Do y'all remember that?
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I remember it. Well, I'm sorry. Let me take that back. He was rumored to have been cast as Sentry. Then they switched it. I think that was well documented that he couldn't do it or something like that.
So you think he was Mr. Negative?
But then I thought that Mr. Negative was going to be rumored to be in it. So I, like you, John, thought Gene. I thought differently though. I was right. I'll just say that it was right. Gene. But I thought Gene was going to be the resource Peter had to resort to help him with the villain.
Yeah.
I didn't think she was the villain either.
Let's talk about that. What do you think about her motivations where they, again, Chris Claremont, and again, it's not like a big known thing that Jean had a sister. It was like in the Chris Claremont kind of thing, which it seems like if you're following the path that we're going, they're going to use his, which was one of my favorite X-Men, I guess, story arcs that they've had over the years. So I like that they're doing this, but what did y'all think of the motivation that like, hey, it's my sister? It's funny. It kind of felt Stranger Things kind of like, it is funny that they had Katie.
I told my daughter, like, she became Vecna basically, right?
Yeah, I don't have an issue with a family member that's like your best friend or, in your nuclear family being
almost
the motivation.
Because they didn't have the mother figure.
I don't mind whoever it is in your nuclear family. I don't mind that being a motivation for revenge or whatever. But what I don't like is when a lot of characters are going to end up having like a sibling or something. Like, I don't like the redundancy that you present to a character that you could have given a number of motivations to. That's true. Obviously they wanted her to have some reason to want to get back into this facility and figure out where this person was. I honestly don't care if it was her mother, her father. Right. I feel like that would have been easier if it was her father, because it would have felt like a little bit like Stephen King's Firestarter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to find my dad. That would have been better to me, because it also would have been like, well, that was her caregiver, and now she just out here on her own. But to be your sister, it immediately made me think, well, where's their family? Then they didn't even make them look alike. So that was a little, like, I don't know. That's just something in me that just makes me feel like a little...
But I do like it. It kind of gives like something because again, we've seen, and maybe I just took it for granted because we've seen so often where parents like throw their kids away when they figure out they're mutants or they're different or whatever. And that's kind of what they alluded to. And it kind of gives reason maybe down the line that she's looking for a family and maybe ends up at the Xavier Academy.
But if it was her dad, it would have been the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
But like, even when you throw kids away, the state doesn't allow that. Like, somebody's going to pick them up. Like, they're going to be in an orphanage or something.
Yeah, but not
they made it seem like they just chilling outside all the time.
Yeah, I mean, because they got powers. Like, they could literally, like, if they need a hotel or something, her sister could have provided and done everything else. So I think that they also, because they had these powers and everything that was going on in the country in New York and, between Civil War and Fist stuff, I think that they kind of were trying to say that, they're out on their own because of these powers.
Let's get to that a little bit later, because that's going to be the most confusing part of this conversation is where have the mutants been all this time?
Yeah, that's definitely
Jean Grey can't be the first to exist. It's got to be,
unless
they really completely rewriting.
They did Namor, and they had Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
A third one, too. All right, here we go.
Those are the two big ones.
All right, let me pause on that for a minute. We'll come back to that conversation. Question number 1. Why is Jean Grey attacking this building 6 times rather than just jumping into Bill?
I don't know.
Movie over. 20 minutes, right?
That is completely also valid.
Okay.
This should not have been difficult for her.
I wish in some you were off when we recorded live, and I responded back to Dane and James about Spider Noir. As boring as that show was, I'll tell you one thing they absolutely did well. They gave you explanations for damn it, and don't call me a spot on the one thing, the hole that I missed. But by and large, they did a good job of literally having exposition about, oh yeah, that didn't happen because I told them this and I did this to set this. All they needed to do was say Bill had some type of blocking mechanism on to keep
or she couldn't get close enough for whatever. Yeah, it could have been something simple.
One little throwaway quick like that would have helped, because it was like, come on, man, plot hole. You know what I mean?
There's
like,
a
this
couple
movie
of those things
over,
in here,
right?
that I also focused on.
2, what was Bill Mesker protecting at the DODC behind that wall? Because her sister was never there. Remember, her sister was...
Right?
No. She brought Hulk to knock the door open. The sister was never at that building.
Okay.
The sister was off the island somewhere at another facility. She was never in that building. So what was behind that door? Nothing at all? It was just a red herring.
That was like his office
thought it was.
Maybe that was where...
She just assumed that's where the sister
Maybe
was.
that's where all the technology was?
Yeah, I just assumed she was trying to get to the office to figure out
VMAX. They hadn't got behind it. When they got behind the door, remember, Bill and them were inside of that vault. They had gotten behind that door.
They did make it seem like it's something back there and you can't get in there. Like,
right,
I just
what was it? They never told us what he was actually protecting.
If my office and I'm damage controlled or I'm a government facility and there's these superpower, you damn well my office is going to be able to turn into a panic room. And I think
that's all it was.
Those systems, and then that's where she found out that the sister was at that facility.
Yeah, I mean, they never made that clear. I was just curious, like what was exactly that anyway.
But and we also just be assuming that these criminals and superpower people are like masterminds. Like maybe she just was like, oh shoot, I could have done this better. Like it's plenty of criminals and it's like, man, why you ain't just robbed the bank this way?
Right.
Oh, even funny because again, she's popped up again, Cindy Moon, who turns into Silk. She was in Banner's class and she says, instead of killing half the population, why didn't Thanos just use the stones to make food? You know what I mean? It's just like little stuff like that.
Yeah. But I thought, I mean, she's young, and I think that's part of it too. She's not able to really think through. She's not a tactician, so she doesn't know. She being Jean doesn't know what her best chess moves are. She's just kind of going about it on raw emotion and being right.
I would even go even further. She don't even know the full extent. She's just scratching the surface of her power set, which I appreciated.
Yeah.
I like that they made her almost like limited to possession. Like she can just possess people, and that's all she does.
Right.
I mean, they even kind of get to this crescendo of where she just can freeze everybody. But
like
I still felt like that was just a scratching the surface. Which the reason I appreciate is because I love that she's that young, and that she is going to be introduced to Xavier's school, and they're gonna teach her about her. That's part of the movie. Like I'm gonna teach all of y'all how to come out of either your trauma from the past and like step into your herodom, or I'm also going to teach you how to be better at using your abilities. I think that's an important part of X-Men.
Yeah, and not to give significance to the whole small potatoes thing, but if she had her original Jean power set in the beginning, it probably would have shot down like where the rest of these heroes. So at least it started like again, because Spider-Man deals with some people that have superpowers, and if the possession is limited, you know what I mean? But if she was doing like full Jean Grey stuff right off the top, it'd have been like a world impactful event. You know what I mean?
No. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And they did do a good job of explaining the limitations to
I like that.
Her power,
I like
so
again, and it's almost like when Batman's a detective and you don't necessarily see as much as that. I like how they made Peter more of like a nerd and a scientist. Because that plays a big part in the Spider-Man.
Where is he getting all the money to afford all this tech though, Loft? Where he getting the money to afford all this?
I've seen people talk about that, but I feel like there's a lot of easy explanations for that. I mean, his mentor was Tony Stark. So like you could just, Happy could give him whatever he want if he just asks for it. And Peter, the type of
Happy
character
don't
to me.
remember him though.
Yeah,
Happy
that's true. He could do it as Spider-Man somehow.
Hey, man.
Or he could steal. Like, you know what I'm saying? He might just steal. Like.
He just was mining cryptocurrency. But I did think that too. And that's where, they used to explain that away, that he was a freelance photographer or whatever. But some of the ways that they've written him in his relationship with the Daily Bugle don't quite work. But they didn't really have that explanation. It's kind of one of those things. And it was just like, I'm going to just ride with it. He can pay for an apartment in Manhattan and he's got like all the, 3D printer and everything else. But let's just roll with it.
It's funny that they did away with MJ being a model. I guess they feel like that's too
Yeah.
like old school
Because
misogynistic.
honestly, the way Peter moves and he really wasn't doing nothing, he could have just been doing Uber Eats and DoorDash and everything else. Same way, spider tracker, drop the food, bounce out, get my tip.
But I also, just to like lean a little bit more into X-Men, was really happy about Sadie Sink being confirmed. One, I think she is a drawing of herself because of Stranger Things. Like, she's developed, I think, to a certain extent, all of those kids have a built-in audience. But she's a really good actress. Granted, she's playing the exact same character as Jean. I think it works, right? But I also think that it really excites me about the youthful approach to X-Men. So that was cool. What I have a little more questions about is this to be expected now? Are we supposed to see X-Men, or not X-Men, mutants sort of appear and sort of sprinkled into things until we get sort of this big reset that starts with the X-Men movie? I wish they had started a little earlier, honestly, because I think that is actually a really dope way to introduce mutants. I think it just creates a conundrum because you didn't establish that mutants and the X gene was a thing to begin with.
And it might not have been. I'm just curious, like, what y'all thoughts are on how that's going to go. Because there's a lot of theories out there that Thanos' snap could have created it, that, Doctor Strange's spell act like the mutant X gene has always existed. And we'll
let me tell you what
they did do.
They wasted the Eternals because you could have just did it then.
Yeah.
And that movie literally served no purpose at all. And that could have been the one purpose that it did well.
And I'm kind of like, God bless Marvel. They did a great job with like Guardians of the Galaxy and Ant-Man and making you care about those characters. But I never cared about the Eternals. Like, I'd always liked the Inhumans a little more better. And they kind of transcended to the X-Men a little bit more because of, they have latent DNA and all that stuff. But do y'all think that the X gene was activated and it's always existed? It exists in every universe and plane, and it just was, in these other universes, it was exposed more, and then something happened? Like, how do you think they're going to explain it?
I think they just saying people are mutations. I think when we get into the new phase, the new phase is going to be where we get like explanations of the X gene, and they're going to get into the science of it. But I think, to answer your question, quite honestly, I think it's just, they can now. They got the Fox property, and now they
we know that's the case, but they figured out explain it some way.
Well, I'm saying they figured, well, now we actually can use these characters, and I think now they're just finding ways to find it valuable to add more substance, I think, to these movies. I think it's going to make sense for Black Panther 3 to have like Storm and Aurora show up. Why not? You know what I'm saying? I think they're asking themselves, well, why not? I don't think they're saying, why now? I think they're saying, why not?
Well, I think we're asking two different questions. Like, you're taking it more from like the writing perspective and their motivations. I'm just talking about like the MCU explanation to when they give us the answers for how the X-Men come in. Like, how do you think?
I don't think
it matters. I think Law's question is more pertinent though, and I'll say that, James, because subjectively I don't care. Right? I really don't.
But like, I can theorize because there's a lot of people asking that.
They do, but I don't know that we should entertain that because they might just reset everything at the end of Secret War.
That's what I think is actually.
And then bring some characters back and not bring some characters back. And Sadie Sink, now that they've established her, and I know we might have criticisms about how we feel about resetting everything she's experienced, and now it's all never happened or doesn't matter or what she doesn't remember, whatever the hell it might be. I'm saying I don't care. I think that Law's point is more pertinent because people like Dane the purist and people like Jermaine are going to be like, this is not how X-Men are supposed to start, which is why I believe Dane was so much on the side with me of saying this can't be Jean Grey because this ain't right. Yeah. This ain't how X-Men is supposed to go. And they are going to, the purists, the comics, the fans like Dane are going to lose their mind if they don't fix this shit. He cannot accept the fact that somehow, whatever theory you want to discuss, James, is going to be the answer of, some latent gene was already there and Thanos snapped and now, X-Men are all here. They just haven't come together and we're just going to completely ignore
Well, they're
all of
clearly going
Magneto's
to reset it,
backstory,
but I still feel like the science should still be there. So when we get into the new universe and we're in a universe where mutants have always existed, it still should be like
I
the
think you
same
will
basic
get it
science.
then. I
Right.
think
Yeah.
now mutations are just a thing that
Right.
happens.
I'm not talking about like
And so
this is
even-
gonna be the be all end all. I'm trying to see like future down the
I'm
road. How
telling
do
you,
you
though,
think they're
so
going to piece this together?
because you're skipping over something entirely. How then do you go back and explain away the 1920s, 30s, 40s World War era?
Because those are whole different universes.
No, but
like
they
that didn't
go to
happen
want
in
that in the 616 because that is the most comic accurate universe. The purists are going to want to see Charles Xavier establish his relationship all over again because they feel like, dang, Fox screwed it all
when
up.
When these universes merge, like you're gonna have that. Like it again, maybe it's just because I've read the comics and it makes sense in my brain. I'm not gonna say stitched together, but when I say that they merge, like the histories and stuff are gonna probably come together and merge. But I'm more talking about like the science. Is it gonna get back to the original?
So you're saying, is the science gonna be in the future explanation of X-Men?
Right.
Yes,
right.
I think yes. That's what I was saying from the beginning. I'm just establishing you're introducing mutants now, though.
Right.
And I'm saying I don't think they care to give you any science.
Yeah, and I don't think
just
they
like
are now.
there's always been an argument: is Spider-Man a mutant or not?
Yeah.
Like why isn't he?
Any answers?
Why isn't
I just
he
was trying to allow the real kings to kind of make some theories along the line, and if we're right, we're right.
No. It's so unfathomable because of the fact that, like what Lob said, because they got the Fox rights just in the middle of, we already had this plan and then we never anticipated this. So now we can kind of go with the flow and do as we feel at this point. Like there is nothing substantial. Like I can come up with a theory without having any evidence at all to support where I'm going.
Which is fine. Like that's kind of what I want.
But what I'm saying is, but I would prefer to have some tea leaves to build that argument on.
And I'm saying no time soon.
But the only reason you want that is because there's this belief, right? That Sadie Sink showing up means that everything that happened preceded in the 20s, 40s, 30s should have happened as well. And I don't think that's an assumption that should be made.
Right. I think this is a different universe.
I think you have to accept the fact that it's possible in this 616 as it is now.
We're never going to see it.
There never was even a Wolverine in there. There never was a Charles. Like, I think we're going towards where they want us to go, and that'll reveal more mutant, I guess, information. But I think to just leave assumptions out of it is just the best for this stage, because for her to show up with powers is no different, in my opinion, than Steve. Why does Peter Parker have powers?
Right.
Things are just happening in this universe where people result in having superpowers. Yeah, it doesn't mean that because one mutant exists, everything in the lore of X-Men has also existed as well.
Right. And they never called her, they never called Jean a mutant in this film either. They never said the word.
Yeah, they don't. I think that might be more Sony rights and stuff too, but I guess we'll figure it out. But they clearly established that Namor was a mutant and he had been around for however long prior to, and then Kamala, which everybody doesn't know as much about.
I thought Kamala was the only one that was actually called a mutant.
Nah, Namor gave an explanation that was like loosely him saying, when I was born different. They called me different.
Yeah, I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying that the term mutant could have been used with him because that had no Sony rights issue with it, but they stay. Marvel has still stayed away from that terms specifically, and I feel like there's a reason for that. Fine. My theory is at the end of Secret War, they're going to reset, and you're just going to see Sadie Sink again, and we're just going to accept it. And none of this mattered or something.
And this goes back to where we were. I really like the Damage Control story arc too, because it's starting to show the early beginnings of resistance to superpowers going further into a government organization, which to by any extent has now reached a point of trying to activate weapons and like strategic stuff to shut down any superhero, etc. So that to me plants seeds of there wanting to be a state of control over these superheroes. Like, sure, we gonna act like we like y'all in your face and dap y'all up for what you do for the people. But secretly behind our doors, we really trying to situate ourselves to be able to control y'all or shut y'all down at any moment. Now you could say Trask purchases damage control and takes over, or you know what I mean? Like you could do a lot of things with what you're establishing.
And that's the one thread to James's question that I feel like maybe we will not see a reset. Like, because damage control has been around since the first Spider-Man film, right? When they found all the weapons, they came in. So they have been a consistent force, and Spider-Man inadvertently, well, I found out, I did watch a YouTube video, someone explaining that in She-Hulk, when they had what's-his-face behind the glass, dampering his power and his ability Abomination, that was damage control. So they had already started down developing something to damper superhuman abilities. But now Spider-Man inadvertently has created a smaller version of that same tool, in which we obviously assuming, since we're here now, is going to become the collar eventually, right? And so if that is the case, then all signs, James, are pointing to this is not going to reset. I don't know the explanation. I don't know why the mutants are all of a sudden here or whatever, but it feels like we're just going to go full steam ahead into mutants and never get the original Xavier Magneto story.
I think my theory is that at some point when Secret Wars and everything is done, that all these merge together and some of the characters, just like in the comic book, continue to exist in the way that we know them, and some are reset in that timeline, because they're still going to establish that I think that Magneto and Xavier and everything that happened in the 50s and stuff existed, and they're just going to piece it all together, and everybody's not going to know any better. Like in the MCU, most of the characters are just going to think that this is how history has always been. Like once it's all said and done,
and see, I consider the convergence of one into one timeline as what I mean by a reset.
Reset, okay. Yeah.
I don't know. Again, my issue is like, how can you converge timelines and only have one character of one particular thing?
Well, you got to remember
that we were introduced to now has to have the memories of another version, right?
They all get wiped out for most part. So like, I think that like the Scott Summers that we've seen before, at some point, like I think we get to see him in the X Mansion, because we don't see like the X-Men with the Thunderbolts and stuff in any of these scenes. I think that when we see the light and all that stuff and they're looking up and Xavier, I think that is the incursion happening, and that's their universe getting wiped out. And we don't get to see these characters as much as we think.
But this is what a better example. See, the X-Men are young and they're going to start going forward. But people like Xavier are older and they're also starting at that point, but they should have a history before that point. So when you explain that whoever this new actor is like supposed to be a different version of Patrick Stewart, he's supposed to kind of have that history in mind. You are now creating a different universe, but having pre-existing characters with those memories of before. It just gets convoluted.
Yeah,
but long story short,
I don't also think that when we pick up, like nothing is saying that the new X-Men is going to take place like current history either. You know what I mean? So we might be seeing a young version of the team.
Like they could make it a period piece where it's like the 90s or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true. They could do that.
And Chris Claremont's thing takes place in the 90s. So like a lot of this might happen and precede the original MCU timeline.
That's true.
And it can get complicated. That's why I like to throw around and spitball and kind of see what because y'all come up with some good stuff. So I'm just interested to see how they can piece it together, because it's difficult. Like, I'm not going to lie, Marvel has a big hill to kind of climb to get this done and get it done in a way that the fans actually accept, to get those casuals in and the original people. So it's not an easy task. Like a lot of the stuff that they did with the Kang dynasty and that whole phase kind of skewed things, and they're really trying to correct it. But I'm just curious to see if they can actually pull it off.
I'd almost go back and create a converged timeline of what it will be going forward, but also what happened in the past.
Yeah, and I think that's what they're going to do.
And then I would write the stories of the characters we know are going to exist. Even if we ain't even touching it in the movie, I would just have stuff anchored in that, like,
that's what I hope that
whoever I knew Captain America is, this is what he went through. Like, just to keep stuff consistent in the new continuity.
I think that makes sense. And I want to rephrase what I said to James earlier. is not that I don't care, James. It's because I cared, and Sadie Sink's character, Jean Grey, being here makes me frustrated that I don't know what they're doing now.
Yeah.
Right? Like, to me, that's part of the reason why I wasn't convinced she would be Jean Grey. That is all the reason why. Because if you don't introduce any of the new X-Men yet, then a full reset to me seems plausible. Now it no longer does. And now I'm like, okay, so y'all just pulling shit out your ass. Y'all are doing basically whatever you all want to do.
But you saying that based on the actress though, right? Because a reset of the character doesn't change anything because it's Jean Grey. You only saying that because you know Sadie Sink gonna continue on as that actress.
Right, but there's a flip side, Love, which you usually bring forward, which I'm shocked you didn't lead with, which is you just now meaning all the stakes and all of this what we just saw don't matter.
I don't think,
you know what I mean?
That's
like the
what I'm saying. I don't even think she gonna be a part of the solution, honestly. I don't even think Sadie Sink gonna be a part of the Doomsday stuff. She might, but I don't anticipate
it's confirmed
her.
that she's in Secret War.
Oh, okay.
It's confirmed.
Yeah, all of that's fine because, again, I think I think you all have also said this. I think we all agree they're going to be, let's just talk about the actors versus the character. There are some actors that are going to continue on.
Right.
Prayerfully, it's not Hugh Jackman. But there are going to be actors that continue on.
In there too.
Yeah. But I think the reset in the storyline, to me, is so distinctly separate from that it doesn't matter.
I can see that
to
too.
me,
I get what you're saying.
It's
now.
just if the characters continue, if they keep some actors and some don't, and they change the actors, it's one timeline, and they're gonna reintroduce me to the new Captain, the new Falcon, the new everybody. Sadie Sink being in the old last week. Hold on. Sadie Sink being in the old timeline of multiverse stuff doesn't bother me. Just like Tom Holland ain't gonna bother me. That's not gonna bother me that Tom Holland is going forward doing 5 more Spider-Man.
I'm struggling with this. So last week it sounded like you were against you took a side that was opposed to myself and Dane because that new Captain America would not have had the relationship in this merged universe.
That
with
was
those
my
people.
point. My point was about the memories, and maybe that's what you missed. It was about when the reset. I said it's not about the actors to me and the characters. It's more about the memories.
Correct. I'm agreeing.
Everyone at that point should start anew and have memories that make sense for the new convergent timeline. They should not have memories of the old timeline. Y'all were like, no, Doctor Strange probably should, but I think other characters should too. Dane was like, other characters should too. And I'm like, I don't like that. If it is Doctor Strange and he's outside of time or something, cool. But everyone else should have start memories going forward. Like they shouldn't have.
And I think the answer is what I'm
saying is, if Magneto and Professor Xavier existed as far back as civil rights, but we're not going that far back. We're already in 2028 or whatever they are in this Marvel film.
Yeah.
So we're never going to see the development because we're going to see a new Magneto and a new Professor Xavier come into a universe now with whatever histories they have that has nothing to do with the histories of the people.
This is what I'm saying.
Sadie Sink, who's coming from 616 now.
So this is what I'm saying.
The same Professor
the new professors and Magneto should have what I described. There is a pre-established convergent timeline history that we haven't seen yet, but they wrote it. So there's a history that applies to the comics or whatever that they've written, and they can loosely go back to that history that's what their memories are.
Right.
Yes.
It's not the current MCU that we've seen for the last 15, 20 years. That's not their memories. It's whatever the new convergent timeline will have said happened. So if maybe it don't go back to civil rights. Maybe it go back to a different time of discrimination that Magnus is attached to. Because now the further you get from the Holocaust, you can't keep going back to that.
Correct.
Right.
So I mean,
or you need actors in their 80s or 90s to play.
So that would be my approach.
And I don't even think the comic nerds would care because they've been talking about when they were mentioning Denzel and everything else. Like
that's what I think you should do. It don't have to be civil rights, but you have to explore some different, like historic event that Magnus goes through.
And I think that's what's going to happen. Like those original memories. And I mean, I kind of get what John says, but I don't think like you can do a reset without throwing out some of the stuff that already happened. So like, I think that the memories, like we got to remember that when the timelines converge, there is no more multiverse. So there's no more three Jameses out there. They're all one person and they merge, and some of the memories live on, some don't. The ones that make more sense in this timeline continue on. So nobody remembers all that. I
follow your point now, Love, and I don't mean to nitpick it. I follow it, but that specific example still doesn't work because if Magneto and Professor Xavier had that timeline and they came in, they would still have to be in their 90s right now today, or they're 100, right? But they're not bringing in characters to play those roles.
But we don't know when the
we don't know what it is yet until they tell us.
It could be in the 60s. It could be in the 70s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Got you. No, I mean,
I don't think they will.
One stuff. I'm talking about the Holocaust can't be their impetus,
I don't think they're going to be
their start.
I think that's too far back.
But I do think
far back.
I think
it's too far back.
Yeah. So John, if you were living your life as it is up to this moment, and there was some reset, right? Mm-hmm. You continue on as John in the next timeline, right?
Yeah. But all the history that happened before,
all that Capitol Heights stuff,
that's done.
You wouldn't remember it because the John you are going forward, you grew up in DC.
Different. Right.
Yeah.
And that's all you know, like, because we're establishing a whole new thing for you, and that's the only one that existed. All that other stuff is gone. You never grew up in Capitol Heights. You never went through them trials and all that beef that you went through.
This is why Dark Matter and stuff is fun, but why I always hated it in the MCU, because it just was too much, like, to digest. Like, it just gets too crazy. Like, I like my comics and stuff simple. That's why I be sticking with street level, because once you start getting cosmic and multiversal and everything else, it like you start poking holes in the science. And I know it's still fantasy, but I like it to be somewhat grounded in science fiction.
Yeah. So that kind of brings us to the end credit scene. I was just going to say, like, they kind of give us this end cap with, seeing a Spidey tracker track him, and then he just starts sort of going off planet into like sort of the galaxy or the stars, basically, and it says Spidey located. I don't know. Did y'all have any immediate thoughts about what that means for Avengers or whatever?
Yes. It's not our Peter Parker. It's a Peter Parker from another universe that it's connecting with another Ned who has developed the same device in a different universe. And those two devices are now communicating with one another somehow.
I even saw it different because I like that point. I didn't think of it that way. I just assumed, again, that Spidey was taken from our dimension and is going to show up not in Doomsday, but in Secret Worlds, and he's at
Wars,
Battle World, or wherever the next plane is going to be, and that's where the location is. And then somehow Ned is there too. You know what I mean? So the tracker.
Well, I ain't think about Ned, but that was my visceral instinctive thought was, this is just showing in the future Peter Parker is going to be somehow teleported or transported off Earth to wherever Avengers is going to happen.
But I like Jonathan's idea because it gives the hope, because Feige has indicated that once the cartoon Spider-Man is done, that we may get Miles Morales in the MCU, and John's theory makes it a little bit easier that that's the Spider-Man that's located, that he somehow pops up in Battle World as well, and they both continue. You know what I mean?
Do you know how the theater would go nuts?
Hey, I might actually stand
up in that movie. And Miles
Morales,
like there's some fight or something, and these different versions of these characters are popping up, and Miles shows up, and it's just that, like, the theater would go insane.
Hey, did y'all theater go off when he said, when she was like, "Are you Peter Parker or are you Spider-Man?" And he was like, "I'm both," and then started, man, they went nuts. I was like, all right,
but I do think that it's interesting, man. It's to think about what they're gonna do with him, but.
Right. What I really like is that we haven't been in this space with Marvel where either we didn't have the answers because they were blatantly obvious and Marvel thought they were being secretive, but we were figuring it out, or that we cared because there were some times where it was like, I don't care how they write the Inhumans back into this or if they ever do or what happens. Like now it seems like we're starting to get back to where we don't necessarily have the answers. And even the, big EA Vosses and stuff of the world are right in some points, but wrong on some other. And we're back to that where for a long time, like everything that people predicted is what happened. Like even the cameos and everything else, where now Marvel's keeping a little, bit of secrecy and it allows us to kind of use our imagination. So I like that we're seemingly back there where people don't know 100% how this stuff is going to work.
Agreed.
Yeah. I mean, I wish we wouldn't spend so much time trying to find the answers and just
agreed.
Let stuff reveal
itself. My son called me. My son called me and was like telling me stuff about almost like there were instances of disappointment because he had believed the rumor so much that he was disappointed that it didn't plan out. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I told him, I said, that's why I want to get to a certain type of Marvel movie. If I see the trailer, I avoid everything else. Yeah. It just got too bad of ruining everything.
Right. Yeah. But I guess maybe that's the investigator in me. I don't like when they spoil it, but I do like to try to piece together my own clues and figure out maybe exactly what's going to happen. So I don't like it's necessarily
I agree,
spoiled.
James. I'm saying it's gotten out of hand where
they're telling you everything.
To the point where they showing up on location and trying to take pictures and stuff.
It's like you can't even deny that.
Yeah, that's too much. I'm saying that's a step too far. We need to just let them respect the craft.
That they've figured it out? Because like they still seem to be on like with Spider-Man, they were taking photos and we actually saw him swinging through the streets and on the harness and everything. And again, I don't know what Marvel has done better, but it seems like whatever they've done is working now. Where before, like maybe they were leaking it themselves and they thought that being part of it to feed the machine was better. And now
maybe he said, listen, you're not going to see Jean Grey most of my movie because it's going to be her possessing people. True. Whereas in the past, I think Marvel would have been like, no, you have to see her.
Sure,
we want her in the middle of the scene and we want her doing this with her hands. Like, that was a smart choice for the villain to not really be able to help people see on location.
But it does seem they're going down that because we still really haven't seen what Robert Downey looks like as Dr. Doom. And it seemed like before they were like, given like even artists
in that set, that green room.
Here's another thing they can stop doing. Stop releasing. I mean, Comic-Con happens Monday morning. We should have the trailer. First of all, the first film I went to, the first watch, I didn't even get the Doomsday trailer. Not a single Doomsday trailer. The second,
you're saying you don't like that or do like that? I want
to see the trailer that the Comic-Con people had. Part of the problem is it's so exclusive, not everybody's going to get an opportunity to go. So the sleuths are going to now try to spend more time leaking and finding answers. If you just give people the trailer, then we can use the trailer.
Give us controlled doses, you're saying, as opposed to having us break into the facility. Yeah,
exactly. I almost fall on the other side because I don't want to spoil. Even if it's confirmed by Marvel, like, again, we're months out.
No, I don't want to
Doomsday.
spoil. I'm not asking for it to be spoiled, James. I'm saying if you give people just enough, they won't spend too much time digging. Then I
think they're going to dig no matter what. They're going to go. I think they already seen it.
I think that's just the economy.
Yeah, I think those guys are going to do whatever.
People being content creators. They got to get stuff for people to click on because that's how they make their money.
So they're going to continue.
It's an ecosystem now. Like it's out of Marvel's hands. Ain't nothing.
Because I don't even personally like. Even sometimes there always gets to a point where I stop watching trailers. You know what I mean? We don't have quite enough now to where if they showed a trailer, I wouldn't necessarily pay attention. But I feel like we're going to get to that point soon. But it seems like they're not giving us like as many like teasers and all that stuff as they had before. They're like, nah, we keeping everything close to the vest as much as we can.
Except for the people who went to Comic-Con. What I'm saying is they got a different trailer that we haven't. But
whatever they're portraying, it's Marvel ain't confirming or denying that that's in the trailer. So again, they show these trailers and they don't even the ones that we see don't necessarily show up in the real film. So like these guys are saying all types of stuff, but until it's confirmed, and sometimes even when it is confirmed,
they cut
then
footage.
they show it.
You one told me, didn't you share something where it showed how Bernthal got snuck into the hospital because it doesn't make sense? Which again, if they shot that originally live, I meant to say that when we were having that conversation. So there is, what's the girl's name? That the lady that
Rosario Dawson.
Right, thank you. So you know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. She apparently, there was footage of her sneaking Bernthal's character, the Punisher, into the hospital to see Spider-Man and check on him because Bernthal's character, the Punisher, is still wanted, right? So, but they
and even for Spider-Man, it didn't necessarily make sense that somebody in that hospital wouldn't have snuck a peek at what he looked like. You know what I mean? Right. As he was unmasked, it would have made more sense if they had the night nurse there that would help.
But it's told John Watts cut a whole 20 minutes of film off of this movie. So once the behind the scenes footage version, extended cut, comes out, I don't know if it'll help this movie or hurt it, but it certainly changes the perspective on where, you know, Frank's character was at this particular time.
You also could have just not had him go to the hospital. Could have had him just take her to night nurse in her little clinic somewhere underground.
Exactly.
But I guess
that might have been a
cheered for.
Right. And that might have been a reason to remove it. But I'm saying all that to say that, James, to your point, all of that footage that we often see and then they go out and see the movie and it's like none of that was there. Part of it was because a lot of it just goes on the chopping block for whatever reason. That's what I mean.
So like we don't know what they saw at Comic-Con, if that's still going to be, you know, canon or it's going to end up in the final cut or whatever. So I just would prefer, like, even if it's anecdotal and these people are saying this is what happened, I just don't necessarily pay attention to that and try to even avoid some of the actual trailers because they're doing better now, but for a long time, these movies were putting everything in the trailer. And it's like, man, I seen the whole movie before I even stepped in the theater. So I'm liking how we're not getting that because there were definitely some fight scenes and everything else in Spider-Man that weren't in the trailer that they had saved for us. And played out totally different. Like, we're like, oh, they scrubbed Daredevil. We know the hand is in here and Daredevil's right there. And it's like, nah, man, y'all wrong. It ain't none of that.
So really just real quick, let's go ahead and rate this one. And then if you have just a couple minutes, I'd want to get y'all feedback on the X-Men casting news. And then we'll go ahead and wrap
it.
Where y'all at?
I'm at a 9. I ain't got to go back into why. Think I pretty much explained that. But yeah, really, really good movie, man. I definitely would watch it, you know, again, you know, if I'm in the mood for a Spider-Man movie, I'm probably going to pick this one. Like, I'm going to watch this one. And again, you always going to get at least probably like a half of a score bump when you do Hulk right.
Yeah, I'm right there too. Like street level Spider-Man, adult Spider-Man. We had Hulk, we had Punisher. It passed the TNT test. Like, there's definitely scenes in this that if I'm watching it on live TV, I'm going to just, you know, tune in and watch it through. You know what I mean? I might not watch the full.
We didn't even talk about the fight choreography. Like, Jackie Chan did a great job.
We didn't even talk about the hand. We didn't talk about the hand.
The hand was right. The colors. Like, we didn't talk about the filmography. Like, we talked about some of the live, you know, non-CGI aspects of it. But I think that they hit this one out the park, man. So I think it's a 9.
You were being funny, or Jackie Chan literally did choreography?
He was a choreographer.
Yeah, he did Shang-Chi too.
Yep.
So there's a pre-existing relationship, but I guess
you could see his hand on it.
Yeah. That Crouching Tiger stuff was like pretty overt.
Yes.
But even the Spider-Man stuff, when he was just doing webbing, like flipping and spinning around, like that was even good.
Yeah. Why is this not at least a 9.5? See, this is why we got to keep a track of what y'all rated the other 3.
I'm just reserving the right. I think it still was some plot holes and stuff there, and I'm curious to see how they wrap up the gene. And unlike you, and I don't want to speak for Loft, but I've only seen it once, so it could change as it grows on me. But at least my feeling the first time around and leaving the theater,
so it's fair. The initial reaction is fair for what we're doing.
And I think for me, it was and this is just again a bias. I think for superhero movies, when I look at like Civil War and Infinity War, I guess I'll just use Captain America getting Mjolnir.
Yeah.
Fighting.
Those are 10s to me, though. Those are perfect films.
I guess that's what I'm saying is that there's
nothing
some
flawless.
Gap.
There's nothing flawless, but there's
a gap. There's a gap. And I guess that's the best way for me to describe it is that It could be a 9.5,
Right.
but 9 feels right to me. I don't know.
All
There
right.
wasn't enough of those iconic moments.
Super size. Yeah, I agree. So for that, and with the flaws that I pointed out, I'll go with the 9 as well. But I will just go on record. We're gonna have to sit on this for a while. Let it breathe.
I ain't sitting on nothing.
we gotta let Paul. We gotta let this breathe. But I think it's the best. It might be the best Tom Holland Spider-Man film. I just don't know if it's better than the first.
I would argue it again. It could be recency bias.
Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, I think it's close to being my favorite Spider-Man overall.
I definitely feel better than the last one. I hated the last one. Like I told y'all, I thought that was just bloated, a mess, fan service, hot garbage. I'm sorry, I know y'all didn't feel that way.
But I wouldn't be mad if somebody told me that this was a 9.5 or closer to a 10 for him. I would understand.
Yeah. All right, so Dane, we looking forward to your feedback once you get an opportunity to review this. So we'll get Dane's feedback hopefully next week. Y'all want to go ahead and wrap now? A lot of you want to run and wrap, or you want to get some feedback on these X-Men cast and stuff?
Yeah, we can do that and go through the news.
All right, James. Woo, how long has it been? Hit him with some news. Jesus, I needed Rob in here. Hit him with the news.
And again, we'll be real brief, but I think that we almost have to talk about it with the reveal that Sadie Sink is actually Jean Grey, that they also just announced that Samara Weaving from Ready or Not. Did y'all see Ready or Not 2 at all?
I ain't watched 2, but I saw the first one.
The first one. The second one isn't bad either. It's right in that same universe, man. It's not going to change your mind.
It's funny, the white boy's acting like she a baddie to them. But I guess she is, but she ain't give me that from Ready or Not.
Nah.
So that's what I know her from.
But if you look at it, she kind of, there's like a category of girl like Jamie Presley, her, and what's my girl that's Harley Quinn?
Oh,
Anna Taylor, too. Like they all kind of are in that same like Australian blonde white chick kind of thing. So I think they get a lot of love.
She a baddie.
Yeah, but I think that this is good casting for Emma Frost. I think as far as, I don't think they could have done a better job.
Okay.
Cyclops, whoever plays Cyclops is going to be a happy guy. and if they cast Storm the way that we hope it, it's going to be like, he going to be all set. Like, hey.
Hold up. You talking to the nerds now. Talk to the layman like me. Why is Cyclops, the actor, going to be happy? Why? What does Emma Frost's role have to do with
one, it's going to be potentially a lot of eye candy on set. He doesn't necessarily have a relationship with Storm, but they'll be in close proximity, and it's depending on what they do with Rogue and everything else. But he actually has romantic relationships with both Jean Grey, of course. They go on to have different children and everything else depending on timeline. And then there's clones and twins and all that fancy stuff. And then he also has a relationship with Emma Frost at some point in it. So if they decide to go down that road, that character playing Cyclops could potentially, have the opportunity to have romantic relationships with two, attractive young ladies. So we'll see how that goes.
Yes. Thank you.
What else? How familiar are you guys? I know he was in Warfare, and it's a movie that we like, but I saw that potentially Beast is going to be a guy named Charles Melton, no relation. What do y'all think about that? And,
I think it's interesting that they would cast him as an Asian guy. Yeah. That's not for really any reason to me. I don't see why Henry McCoy, other than his last name, would need to be any race in particular, but that's just a first. It's just, kind of interesting. But the actor itself, I was familiar with him.
Yeah, and I think he does. And he seemed like at least based on Warfare, he's like, lead man, handsome, kind of like buff dude. Like, I wonder if
because again, at some point he's going to be suited up and, probably have a suit and prosthetics and stuff. I wonder if his voice kind of sold them on it. I wonder if he has a professory voice that sold them. Because that's the only thing about Hank to me is like, he's this dichotomy of looking like a literal beast, but talking like a super proper professor.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it's kind of funny that Kaylee Spaney from Alien Romulus is potentially going to be Rogue, but then our guy that's Black Panther also was in that. So there's kind of like a relationship.
I didn't even think about that. That's a good connection. But at some point, every prominent character in a lead is going to be either in the DCU or the MCU. But I still think again with her, I wonder if she's auditioned some Southern accent and really does a good job of it. Because that's just, again, these are key attributes of these characters.
And then our girl from Obsession apparently is politicking to try to get in the MCU. I can't remember what character they were trying to link her to. Mystique. Okay, yeah. Which I wouldn't be mad at.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at that. I'm just tired of Mystique being so prominent in the whole X-Men story. Like,
people really like the character. And then Professor X has been everybody from my guy from The Conjuring to now Bill Skarsgård and Tom Pelphrey, which we just saw on Task. And Dane would probably remember from Banshee too. He was in that, but he's a really good actor and he did a heck of a job in Task. So I wouldn't necessarily be upset if that was going to be the way that they went.
Tom Pelphrey, because Skarsgård is so tall, man. That John just looks weird, man.
And he at the point now where I see it when I see him. Like, I don't know why. It's just hard not to see him. And I don't think that should disqualify him, but I think for Xavier, again, I don't know. Both of those guys can pretty much, I think they can just act their tails off.
I got confused.
So I don't have no issue.
For some reason, I was thinking of Alexander as his brother. So Bill. Yeah, that's too much. Him with a bald head, like he's at the point where he's a really good actor, but he looks like it to me. He would look scary.
He got like a Macaulay Culkin face, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
it's kind of strange because like he gets like leading man accolade too, but he also has that, you know how like some horror guys like Robert Englund and stuff have that quirky like off kilter. He has that too. So it's kind of weird to like see him like where he's in one thing like people are treating him like a sex symbol, and in the other he's like kind of like a weirdo. So but I guess that's a testament to his acting chops, man.
Then I see. And I immediately start seeing, and again, I don't know how much truth is to any of this. Until these people are confirmed, you know, I'm not going to say they locked in, but I immediately saw people attaching Jamie Lawson to Storm, too.
Mm-hmm.
So I would think she should be the front runner. I mean, she got the relationship with Coogler, and she fits the age group to me.
Yeah. And so by people, you mean Dane.
Oh man, I think that's it, man. I think, you know, of course there's been some Cyclops stuff, but again, man, it's so many people that could potentially play a Cyclops that I feel like it's difficult to mess that up. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of leading men that could jump in that role in that age range. So I'm not even going, until they confirm, that's definitely one. I'm not even going to speculate on where they're going to end up. Because
it's odd that I haven't seen anybody speculate Angel. And early rumors were that it was going to be the original team.
True.
So like, why is he being left out? Is that because he's not being cast? I would understand. I think having somebody walking around with 10-foot wings all the time would look crazy, but.
Yeah, I haven't really heard a lot of rumors of like, they even talked about not even casting, but they haven't even confirmed it. Yeah, like we've pretty much confirmed that Cyclops, Jean, Beast, but we haven't confirmed Angel. I guess, man, I got to get with Dane because my X-Men isn't as strong because I've picked up at different iterations, but I'm not even sure if 100% if original team had Angel or not. I always get confused, man. It's been so many different teams along the way.
I would just honestly, the only thing that seems logical would be, or practical, would be if he was more like Falcon, where when he's walking around, he don't have wings, but then somehow,
he always used
he
to
can
like
have
them,
them, right?
Or something.
But then now you make him too much like Falcon if you do that. So I would probably just elect to leave him out altogether.
I don't need Angel, and honestly, I never liked him, but I loved Archangel. So
all you do is fly. Like I would just leave him out.
The issue, I don't think, is seeing it as much as the CGI that you're going to have to use to have, unless you can figure out how to.
That's what I'm speaking to, though. Like, I can see that being a problem.
Being corny. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You ain't got no other news? We just that? You're not going to sneak in some horror news? How they got 2 Freddy Krueger movies coming out? You ain't going to find the time and space to talk about that, James?
No, I just feel like that don't even fit with this episode. So,
I don't feel like none of your horror drops.
Well, how'd y'all like the Thomas Crown trailer?
I thought it was good, man. Like, and I put it in the chat, but I don't even know if we got a response. Do y'all think that, because again, he'll have the Academy Award. He's definitely got the credibility as far as being a hit movie maker. Do you think this puts Michael B. Jordan as the Denzel of our generation, like the top actor, Will Smith guy that's going, because he seems more Denzel-y because he's able to get action.
The answer is yes, of not our generation, but of the new,
whatever. I mean,
the new
generation.
Yes, I think he needs a little bit more longevity and consistency, but I think he's the front runner to be.
I think if this hits, that he'll be closer to the Tom Cruise, Denzel, where, hey, Michael B. Jordan's in a movie, I'ma see it because it's Michael B. Jordan, not because it's Killmonger or whatever. You know what I mean?
But I also think he's going, the suave, dressed up, almost James Bond nature of the character is going to pull a lot of women in. It's going to be a date movie. Fellas going to go see it because he's fighting in the trailer, which I don't remember that from the original.
I don't think it was, but I'm here for it.
But one of y'all put in the chat too that they changed the background to he's a thief who steals, again, just like Thomas Crown, the original, he steals these, I don't know if you want to call it historic artifacts and stuff with these high price tags, but this iteration is stealing them back, probably from colonialism and, imperial powers who stole them over time.
It was probably Dane. It seemed like something Dane would.
Yeah, maybe Dane put it in there. But I love that take because it just kind of makes it a little more ethical of the character for a black man to do something like that. I like that.
So he's Killmonger then.
He's Killmonger.
Yeah, pretty much.
Go figure, man. On that, man, we'll go ahead and wrap, man. This has been another great episode of the Real Kings podcast. Check us out everywhere you get your podcast. Please like, subscribe, rate, and review us. Give us some feedback. Tell Jermaine, stop playing around. Come visit. We'll have him on, man, so we can promote the comic book store and tell us how he admits that the Snyderverse Superman was actually the better Superman, and James Gunn is completely killing DC. And what James Gunn doesn't do, Marvel look like they back on their way. Until next time, go and watch House of Dragon tonight. What else we got for next week, James? What else we got? We got anything on the run?
Lioness is coming out. And I don't know if we care or not, but Batman Caped Crusader came out again. And of course, we got X-Men once Dane is back.
And we're going to hear Dane's thoughts on Spider-Man.
And we'll hear Dane's thoughts on Spider-Man. By the way, everything I grade this year is on the Loft curve, y'all. So I could dog. I can sound like I'm dogging a film, but then be able to rate it for what it's supposed to be. That's why, even though I sounded so negative last week about your boy The Odyssey, it still got an 8. I'm objective in that way.
Don't put that on Loft.
That ain't even make sense.
That's Rob.
Until next time, man. We love y'all. Take it easy. Peace.